Welcome back, everybody, to the UP show. We have our guest today, current TNT client, Dani, mom of 3, extravagant mother.
Ew.
You are I guess, what is your job title?
I mean, technically, if you want to, like, it president, but I hate that. So
You're president?
Yeah, of the company.
You're the president?
I
I did not know I was
Really?
speaking to
I
a
hate
president.
that. It's just so like, ooh, look at me, you know?
Explain your job really quick.
So I run events. We do mainly sports events. So like races, 5Ks, half marathons. We do pickleball. We've done wrestling, various things. I mean, work with a lot of clients and organizations and charities to host their 5Ks or their events. Yesterday, I was in the city with Navy Pier, and we were kind of going through some of their events that they're like looking to do to, you know, drive more people to their location. So then we kind of organize it and bring in all the stuff and all that. So that's what I do.
It's the main things like the 5Ks and like the running stuff.
That's what we started with. Yeah. So I started when I graduated college many, many years ago. Show my age. Back in 08.
You graduated in 08?
Yep. So that's when the economy was awful. Like nobody.
The crash.
And nobody could find a job. And so I was smart and I did a lot of internships in college. So
Kept your connections.
Yep. And Aaron, my current partner, boss, whatever you want to call him, he reached out and said, "Hey, I'm doing this triathlon. You know, you were an intern. We did this huge cornhole event in Soldier Field. We've done the 5K that he had for his charity at the time." And I was like, sure. Like I couldn't find, you know, I didn't know what else I was going to do. And I was nervous with the workforce at the time. So, you know, we started doing that. And then he's like, I think we can make a company out of this, a business. So we were in a parking lot, I think at a McDonald's. And we were like, what do you want? Like, what do you want to call it? And then we were like Adrenaline. And so thus came.
That's pretty sweet. Like
yeah,
not a lot of people can say they've done one thing since college.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
So most people, you know, they start low and they jump around, but your company's grown with you, and now you're the president.
Yeah, and my role has changed too through that, and especially having kids. You know, I graduated, I got married super young, had kids young, but I still kept my foot in the door, and it was just Aaron was so great at, hey, you can do this at home with your kids, right? So having that opportunity to work still at the company, but being able to still be at home with my kids, right? So I wanted, and I still do, my kids to be my priority, you know, every day. And so Absolutely. I have a still my job now, even though I have more responsibility and things like that. You know, I don't have the typical 9 to 5, right? Like I can work when it's best for me.
You're here in the middle of the day with me.
Correct. So, and then I can work tonight at 10 if I want to, but usually I'm asleep because I wake up early.
Yeah, you wake up early to work out.
I
do. That's a nice little transition there.
There we go.
You became a member at TNT. Oh, God, what's it been now?
I was thinking about this. It was right, like COVID hit. I was working at the Y.
COVID gave me a lot of members because I was the only one open.
And the YMCA was like, fine, until then they were like, you need to be vaccinated. And then I was like, that's a hard no.
So here, can we talk about that for a second? Why are you a hard no on the jab?
Oh boy. I mean, multiple reasons, but one, like, I don't know, like, and because of now we've seen so many things that have happened, but I was like, dude, you're just going to jab all these people with something we don't even really know about, you know?
Well, what's so crazy about that is like, well, there's so many crazy things about it, but we literally do nothing about it. And you weren't allowed to ask any questions.
No, and they're like,
just a logical common sense question, like, well, we don't know anything about it.
Right.
You were called like a bigot and racist, and you were trying to kill grandma. That was the big one, right? On like CNN and like NBC.
Just like, well, if you're not gonna get it, all these people are gonna die. And, you know, I was like, why is it my fault? You know, like I'm a healthy human being. Like,
well, the obvious question like the common sense that comes in my head, right? Why does my vaccine mess with your vaccine? Like, why does me not having because the
Right. So
logic was
they should.
yeah, the logic
Correct.
was, well, you need to get vaccinated for everyone else. Well, if everyone else is vaccinated, what's the problem with
shouldn't
me not getting
be
vaccinated? I should be the one that's
Right.
putting myself at risk. But there was this weird, insane logic, literally insane
That's-
logic.
Right.
Every vaccine has never worked like that ever before. Nobody
Right,
has ever
right.
advocated, well, this one only works if everyone does it.
Right.
That's not true. You're getting a vaccine for you. So it was like the first time in vaccine history where everyone's like, it's only going to work if you all do
You're
it.
supposed to protect them if you take
Yeah,
it.
protect someone else, dick. Quit being a dickhead.
Like, what does that even mean?
Just ridiculous.
Yeah, no, and I refuse. I've gotten a lot of even family arguments over that, and I just like.
Did you? Did it affect your relationship with any family?
No. I mean, I'm a pretty like even keel human being. Like, so like just having conversation with family members that did get it, and I'm gonna respect you if you do. Just respect me if I don't. Right.
That was a big thing for
and
me
I think a lot of even just in our culture today, whether it's a vaccination or politics or religion, whatever the topic may
so
be,
divisive.
right? It's just there's no respect. Like, let's just have a conversation, like two adults or even there's multiple people, right? And be able to chat with other people to learn about them and what they believe. And it's not like all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to become your religion or become your side of politics. But it's good for human nature to be able to learn from other people without being so negative and harsh, and just listen for a second. And we just have such a hard time to doing that.
And this it's a very tribal mindset now. It's
Right.
like, all right, you're either team A or team B.
Like, and there's like, I'm not going to talk to you if you're over there. Like, it's just so
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah. It's like if you associate anything with, we'll just say being Republican because that's the easier one.
Right.
You're all of a sudden a racist.
Right. Exactly.
I literally got called a racist several times from simple posts. I remember I posted one time with this, the Black Lives Matter stuff. I posted something along the lines of, it's okay to be for like safety and Black Lives Matter and what they stand for, but also be against like burning down cities.
Right. And
I posted something along those lines. Like I'm totally for the movement of safety and Black Lives Matter and All Lives Matter and all that stuff.
Right.
But I'm 100% against destroying
like
your
public
city.
property.
And
Right.
I got a message like the same day, like, bro,
Well,
you sound racist. I'm
it
like,
also doesn't help that you're a white
Yeah.
Republican male. So
well, I can't know anything. I'm the most privileged
You're
person
so
in the world.
privileged.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I can be in the room with you right now.
Well, where is the black person on the show? I haven't had a black person yet. I must be racist. Alex, put it down now.
Come on, Alex.
We got to get a black
Somebody.
woman on the show.
Yeah,
Not
I
black
think
guy.
that would be better.
Yeah. So, YMCA starts forcing the jab.
Yeah, let's go all the way back.
Yeah, let's go all the way back. YMCA starts forcing the jab.
And I was like, no. So it was like they gave you a
Good for
deadline.
you, by the way.
It was like, you have until February 1st. And so I was like,
They gave a deadline?
Yeah. They're like, if you don't show your card, like it was like, I remember it was January. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to ride this out until the end of the month. And then that's when Christina was like, oh, you should come work out with me at TNT.
Yeah, because Christina was with me through Lisa, and
Yeah.
Lisa found, I don't know how Lisa, through Prevail.
Okay.
Lisa,
Yeah.
it was like a connection through Prevail or something. I don't know.
Whatever it was.
I don't know,
Yeah.
but anyways.
So, and she's like, come work out. And I said, okay. So, and then that's kind of all happened, which was what? 20, was that 21? Doesn't feel
Holy
that long
crap,
ago.
it does not feel
You
like
know
I've
what I
known you
mean?
that
But I
long.
was thinking like the time, I mean, it's was it 2024? Has it really been 3 years? 21, 22, 23.
Oh my God, it's 2024. God, we're already 2 months into 2024.
I was like,
Dude, time flies,
I was
man.
just thinking that.
Time
Especially
freaking
as
flies.
like,
Ever since I was 22. Like 22 was like the last year it felt slow to
but
me.
don't you feel like it's faster now, especially as a parent? You have
Yeah.
you
Well,
I
Stevie's
think back,
3.
Right, but I think back at 22 and be like, what the heck did I do with my time? Like Joseph and I talk about that all the time. We're like, remember when we had the weekend to just sit?
Me and Kelsey.
Like, we don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
It's usually like, grab your basketball shit. Like, let's go. Sorry, I just swore, but like,
yeah, no, you're good. You're good.
Usually I'm like,
Yeah.
like, come on,
Yeah.
like we don't have time to like breathe half the time.
Oh, I showed
so-
you that that thing that Kelsey sent me today of the scene in The Office where there's like a fire in
Yeah,
the office.
exactly. Yeah, showed me this
Dwight
morning,
makes a fake fire, and they're contributing it to like children. Like, this is my house from 4
Like
to
4
8
to
p.m.
8, yeah.
Ravenous snacks and destroying the cabinet and blah 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 blah. That's exactly what it
Pets
feels
heads
like.
falling off, yeah.
And
Exactly.
our kids will go to bed. We'll finally get our kids down, and we'll like hug each other. And I remember like 3 or 4 nights ago, I was like, "Do you remember when it was just us?" And she's like, "No, I don't.
I
don't remember.
I just don't want to think about it right now. But yes, time crazy.
Yeah, it's
Anyway,
it's
so
totally
3 years.
different. Oh,
Yeah, it has to be, right?
yeah. Being a young mom, are you like are you a big advocate of that? Like,
I don't regret it.
You don't regret it, obviously,
for
and
sure.
it would be tough to say you regret it, but
Yeah, being a mom, I mean, there's
I could argue both, right? Like
right, and I have this conversation with a lot of people,
because you had your first kid at
25.
25.
So just turned 25. So Colton will be 13 this summer, and you guys can keep doing the math of how old I am, but
Just
so
say it.
I'm almost 38. So
Oh my God, I thought you were like 36.
no, I'm 37, but this is my 38th year, so we're just getting closer to that big
Well, you look great for
40.
38.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I do get that I look younger. I'll just keep taking that compliment as I,
Just keep
keep
bask in
sucking
it.
that in.
Bask in it.
No, I like being the age now, and now that my kids, Colton's almost 13, Quinn's 11, and Kaysen's almost 9. Like, I love being able to be active with them, So on that end of the spectrum, and I had a really young mom. She's still alive. That sounded like she was not here, but
Yeah, that did sound a little.
sorry, a little dark. Sorry, my mom is still here. Hey, mom. She had her kids young. There was 5 of us, and so growing up with like a younger mom, and even now, like when I was in college, I ran my first marathon with my mom. And that was such a really, really cool experience to be able to train with my mom and have that experience with her. And
I don't think you wouldn't have that experience if you were an older parent, but it is a lot easier.
It is a lot easier.
The difference between
right.
25
I
and
agree.
35 is
Right.
really,
Like,
really, really
I
big.
think now I feel like it's more natural, like natural, I guess is not the word, but normal is the word I'm looking for, of women like my age having children, some of their first kids. And I think of like, oh my gosh, my hip hurts, just like things that like I couldn't imagine having a kid now. And maybe because I had 3 kids and my body is just different because, your body.
Well, you
does
did it at
change
a much younger age, so
Correct.
you had a much
And
your body was able to adapt much better.
Yeah, I agree.
And-
So that with that aspect, yes. And just having the, being able to be up all night, things like that at a younger age, it's much easier right now.
Losing sleep now
for
is much
sure.
different than like losing sleep at 25.
Right.
Like losing a night of sleep, I am a bad person.
Yeah, like you're like, just stay away.
You've seen it because you see me at 6 a.m. You're like, rough
You're
night. I'm like, yeah, rough
Steve's
night.
not doing so well today.
Yeah,
Right.
that little asshole Luke, my son Luke, just wouldn't sleep.
So yeah, so with that, but right, you can also argue like the whole having patience. Like I feel like patience, and not for everybody, but you have more patience, I feel like, as you grow older, more wisdom in that. I look back on some of the decisions that I made as a young parent that I probably wouldn't have done.
Do you have an example?
Oh, good question. I just think maybe some of the way that we like disciplined. I'm not saying like we used our kids by any means. I know some people are
Let's
like,
get into
what
that.
is she talking about? Did she like
Do you hit him?
whack?
Do you? Are you a pro spanker?
Yes. To a certain degree. Now I am a pro spanker in talking about it. Now I think hitting without any explanation is just as bad as
100%.
You know what I
Needs to
mean?
be communicated.
There needs to be a reason why you're doing that. And there's also an age. I think there's an age range of children with their consequences. A 2-year-old's not going to know that's a dangerous thing, and he touches it. Well, he needs to understand that there's, consequence to that. Just like my almost 13-year-old when he's being a little a-hole, like there's consequence. Okay, well, give me your phone or your computer, whatever it is, right? Like with various ages come different consequences. And so,
Yeah, you're at a fun age now with
I love
Colton.
him.
Colton's
Yeah,
13.
yeah.
So he's like starting to become a little bit of a man. Puberty's coming
Yeah,
up. Like
coming right there.
what's that like? So you got
Um,
the it's boy, girl, boy. Oldest,
Yeah.
middle,
So Colton
youngest.
is in 6th grade, and yeah, Colton, he's honestly a really good kid. He has a good head on his shoulders. He's a good leader, great athlete. Um, and
We got to get him back into TNT.
I know.
He had so much fun doing the volleyball that one time we
Oh
did
yeah.
volleyball. We got to get him back
They
into
talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
Well, he talks about that playing, and then Quinn and Kaysen talks about Stevie because they had to watch him, and he's like, he wasn't listening to us. I was like, well, you're also like a kid, so he's probably like, let's go, you know.
I'm not listening to you. You're like 3'4".
Yeah, I know. We need to bring him in. But yeah, he's kind of getting into the age. I actually love this age a lot. You can just.
What was your favorite age? Sorry, I just interrupted.
No, it's okay. I am honestly, as much as sometimes I want to strangle my kids because of their attitude, I really do love this age. They're independent. They're able to do things their own. You can have conversations with them, you know, about whatever, right? Things going on at school, their sports teams, whatever it may be. You know, you can like, you know, they're almost like they're going to be young adults, and to have that open communication and conversation with them. I didn't love the baby stage, partly probably because I had 3 under the age of 4, so
That's
I was
a lot.
like, this is a
well,
lot.
you don't really get to enjoy the baby stage then because you got the 2 older kids. Well, I guess you could have with Colton, right? Sort of.
Well, I mean,
because Colton.
I found out I was pregnant with Quinn when Colton was 8 months old.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, they're like barely 17 months apart. That was rough, and I hated being pregnant. Like I threw up every single day. Like I was one of those people that would be like if I was, I'd be like, hold on. Yeah, it would just randomly puke. Like it was miserable, and that was with all 3 of them.
Yeah, you hear both ends from women.
Right.
Some people absolutely love being pregnant and carrying the life of a child, and you just hear them talk about it. And my skin is glowing. I just love feeling the kicks. And then other people are like, get this alien out of me. I cannot take it anymore. Yeah.
So I literally cried when I took that pregnancy test and it came back positive. Like it wasn't tears of joy.
Yeah.
It was tears of,
oh my God.
Oh my gosh, I have to do this all over again.
And then you had another one.
And then I had another one. You forget. You truly do forget, kind of.
Well, because you don't have a lot of people. There's this huge push to like not have kids now. Like if you pay attention on social media and things like that, like you're so like your value is so much and kids are not worth it and blah blah blah. Kids are so
worth it.
Freaking worth it.
They're amazing.
I can cry thinking about the amount of love that I learned that I can give to my son.
Right.
Like you don't even know that the capacity of love that you have.
And then you think like, oh, like I have one kid, like I could never do that with and then you have multiple, and it's just amazing.
Yeah, it's like how do you love another child? You have the one, you're like, how do you love another one like this? And it's like you just do. And your love is just it's just different to each one, but it's like
because they're so different, you know, and I was gonna allude to that previously, was just, you know, even communicating with Colton, like he's a different stage than Quinn, you know, because he's a boy, then a girl, then even Kaysen's, you know, 8, and they're all so different, you know, and so you connect with each of them.
That's so fun.
So different. And I love it, right? Like, of course, I have my daughter, so we connect because she's a mini-me. Everybody be like, oh my goodness. Like, she like walks through the door and you're like, and that's Dani's daughter. Like, you just know, just the way, even just the way her mannerisms, like, it's hilarious. Colton, I think, is more like, I would say more introverted. So he has more of like Joseph's, like, cool, calm, collective, but he's also a pretty like determined, dedicated, like,
I felt all that when I met him.
Right, like me, more of like this is how it's gonna be, and then Kaysen is like he's my sweet and sour. He can be like the sweetest
Sour Patch Kid.
But you're like, and he'll be like, he's gonna mess you up.
Yeah,
like don't mess with him.
And I do think too, and I try to tell people this, and they almost get like offended because our kids or older friends,
right?
Well, they'll come to say like, I don't really feel like having kids. Yeah. And I'll mention it, and then people get a little offended. Like I said, I'll just say, I do think it's like the last stage of maturity to have a child. I think you're supposed to. I think we're on this earth to have children.
I
do think that's our purpose. And we can get into the religious aspect of that or whatever. But you don't necessarily know what it's like to have someone 100 million% matter more than you until you have a kid. Because like even in a relationship, you're kind of like, you know, who's more important or who like, what am I doing this for? Is it for me? Is it for you? I don't know. Is it for both of us? And then you have a kid. It's like, oh, it's for them.
Yeah. Like
there's no question.
Like
it's all for them.
I'm like waking
everything,
up. Like,
everything. Wake up. My job, my money, my purpose. It's all for this freaking beautiful little angel. And the innocence of a child is just the most beautiful thing ever.
Well, when they're like your boy's age.
Yeah.
Those are fun stage. Those like I
so
do love, kind of going back to my favorite stage. I do love that like 18 months to like 2 years. Like
I think 2 is going to go down as my favorite.
It's just there's something like they start talking and they start getting their little personality. I don't know. There's just something
3
sweet about that.
They turn into little dicks.
They do.
They learn how to say no, and Stevie already knows how to manipulate.
Oh, for sure.
He knows that, and he knows how to lie. I was like, what the hell? Where'd you learn this? Like, where'd you?
It's the sin within them.
I got to tell you this story. So I'm in the playroom upstairs, and I told him, I can't remember what I told him to do. I was like, go do this. And he was like, "Argh!" And he does this this growl and stomps. He's like, "Argh!" It's like sort of fake.
Okay.
He might have gotten that from me. Like,
for sure.
Like a little bit of.
Learned it from his dad.
And as he turns the corner of the stairs, he goes, son of a bitch. Yeah. I'm like,
amazing.
What? I just remember going, what the hell was that? So I follow him up the stairs, and he says it a couple times, like kind of under his breath. And we go in his room. He goes in his room, and I'm like, what did you just say? He goes, nothing. And I'm like,
he knew.
I'm like, you just said a bad word. He's like, no, I didn't. I'm like, oh my God, this kid is seriously, you're dumb because you obviously you yelled it. You forgot you yelled it. But it's so funny. And I'm like, oh God, I'm in trouble with this guy.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
it was so fun. It's so funny.
I swear, kids, I'm sure I can't remember, but I'm sure my kids have said stuff. And
yeah. Do you do a lot of home video stuff?
Yeah, just like
on your phone?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah, that's something that I totally recommend. We have a GoPro that's dedicated. Actually, the GoPro Alex is using. Go ahead and hit that shot, Al. I love that shot. There's Al right there. But that GoPro, it just sits upstairs, and we just hit record like as much as we can. And we've done it. We did it so much more.
That's a good idea. I look back to and when they're earlier like stages too, and even Colton's 13 years of technology changes too. But just the importance of just capturing it, like photos for sure. Like I'm a huge people are always like, oh my gosh, you take a million photos of your family.
Yeah, well, those moments are never going to happen again.
You never know too. I mean, we've talked about this too, like the importance of understanding, that we might not have tomorrow, right? And that the frailty of life, right? And just capturing today, right? Mm-hmm. And knowing, we have today, we're blessed with today. Let's live for today. And capturing those moments because you never know, right? You never know what tomorrow will bring. So
yeah, and that's another good transition. It's a huge reason why I want to talk to you. You've talked about starting a book before.
Yeah, I know.
Have you started it?
No, I know. I knew you were going to talk about that. I know, and that's
you got to just do it, man.
I know.
You have a great story. Like I only know snippets of it, so that's why I'm honestly like really excited to talk to you about it. But Quinn was diagnosed with cancer at a really young age, and I mean. So walk me through that. Like, how did you learn about that? What happened? Give me all.
Well, Quinn now, let's just fast forward even to today. She's very healthy, 11-year-old. Yeah. So we'll just get to the good news first. But you wouldn't even know today that she went through all that. But yes, back in December of 2017, Quinn was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia. It's actually been the number one childhood cancer. It's very common. I say that very it's very common, right? But sadly it is. And Quinn just started getting sick, but she was 4. She went to preschool. So how kids are, they're gross and germy and
disgusting.
They're disgusting, right? So they come home and they have
especially at like daycare.
Right. There's I don't feel good. They have, coughs and nasty boogers. And so you're like, okay, well, she's sick. And so it was Thanksgiving. She woke up and she started puking. And I was like, oh gosh, well, now we have to miss Thanksgiving, which selfishly was kind of nice to just be home with her. And, I love holidays, but sometimes it could just be so overwhelming.
Oh, especially like, at the end of Christmas season.
Yeah. And you're just
Because you've
like,
already seen family like 5-6 times. You're like, all right, dude.
so it's just
I'm
nice.
done.
So we were like,
I'm
it was
checking
just
out.
the two of us and we were home all day. And so December is actually my busiest season for work currently. So we do a race series called the Santa Hustle. So it makes sense. You people are dressed like Santa Claus and they run. So I travel a lot, almost like every weekend in December. And so in those span of those like short, like 3 weeks between Thanksgiving and Christmas, she took a huge decline. And it was hard for me to see because I wasn't home a lot. Even though coming home, I was just like such in a go like mindset that, sadly I wasn't like looking at her every ailment. Right. So,
So she was throwing up.
she would get like random bloody noses, which like I get to during the winter because it's, dry. Right. So it was like, okay, that's in my mind that. She would just like randomly fall asleep. Like if she was back then, like she would just get tired and she would just fall asleep on the floor. But I was like, she's 4, you know what I mean? So maybe I was just in my mind, I was like, she's just tired, right?
And she's sick.
Yeah. And so, things like that. And then, it wasn't until, I came home, from, I think I was in Texas. And while I was in Texas, my grandmother passed away from cancer. And I got the call. And so then that Monday, Tuesday, when I came home was her wake and her funeral. And so, I came home and it was just go, right? Like she was was that grandmother that was like super close, right? And so
What kind of cancer did she
have?
have?
I think she had bladder cancer. I can't wholly remember on that, but and so we had her wake, her funeral, and Quinn was just awful. Like she was like pale as a ghost. She wouldn't walk anywhere. Like she would just need to be held everywhere. Which like my siblings were in town, and so they're like, oh, we'll take pick up Quinn, but I didn't really think much of it. Partly I was grieving my grandmother and trying to take care of my kids and just being home, so it was just a whirlwind. So then Wednesday, it was the Wednesday before Christmas. So I was just, in my mind, I was like, okay, now it's a go time. That all passed. And so now I was like, I have to just get stuff done. So I dropped Colton and Quinn off at school. Kason at the time was 2, so he was in school. And so she was just in pre-K, so she was in 11:30. I'm like, oh, I'm going to pick her up and we're going to go run some errands. And so get out of my car, pick up Quinn, and her amazing teacher came over to me. She's like, hey, I just want to let you know, Quinn had a big spill today in music class. Like she just was standing and fell.
Oh man.
And I was like, what? And then she's like, she has this huge bruise on her leg. And, they go to private school. So they have like little cute, skirts and socks. And so I pulled her sock down and she had bruises all over her leg. Like, I mean, it was like, that's not normal type of a thing. And I just remember like that moment is when I was like,
Okay.
something's wrong, like that, like, as a parent, like, that this isn't good. And,
Well, it's also if they just have a cold. I remember Stevie, he was super sick as he wasn't even 1 yet. And me and Kelsey were just totally distraught.
Right.
We were up in the middle of the night. We were like running a hot shower, steam shower. We have a GoPro video of it because I had that GoPro everywhere. And he's just like trying to breathe, like,
you feel so terrible.
yeah, and he has no
There's
idea what's
nothing
going
you
on.
can
He just
do.
knows he can't breathe.
Right.
So any little thing, any little sickness, any little problem, you're just like, oh,
Yeah, like
sucks.
you just want to like take it from them. And she's like, it's probably nothing, But another thing too I thought was really weird is that she had her share day. They would like bring something fun to show the class, and they would sit on a stool, and she's like, she couldn't even get up on it. And so I was like, what? Like it just wasn't making sense. And so I got her into the car and I called the pediatrician right away. And so I was like, okay, she's puking, she's falling asleep, she has bruises and bloody noses. And I'm listing these out and I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, partly too is because, like, let's just even rewind more. My brother was diagnosed with cancer when he was 3 or 2, and he passed when he was 3. And I was young, I was 6 and 7. But as I grew up and got to know more about neuroblastoma and the cancer that he was diagnosed with, I would do like a school project on it, right? And I would learn about it, and because it became who I was, right? I had a brother, I saw it, right? Like there are a lot of things and memories that don't connect, just because at 6 and 7 you still have memories, but not like memories what we would have today. And
Right.
so as I grew up and kind of understood what happened and what he had, I would do like a school project on it. So when I was listing those things off in my mind, like I was like, oh my gosh, like no, like I kept being like, no, like there's no that
Well, you never think something like that's going to happen to
right,
you.
like wait, like I already saw it, like it already happened to our family, like why would
Why
like
would it happen
why would it
again?
happen again?
Pull your
Uh,
microphone down like a little bit.
sorry, I
Yeah,
didn't mean to
right
touch it.
there.
Oh my
You're
gosh.
good. Yeah, you're good.
I'm gonna get yelled at. I'm gonna get everybody yelled at. Don't touch the mic.
Don't touch it.
And so they were like, come in right now, like right now. And so I was like, okay, and of course, like we get in there, and their pediatrician, it's an office with multiple doctors. So the one that we get, and she's like coming in like, do, do, do. And I'm like, I don't have time for this lady. Like,
Yeah.
just get to the point.
Yeah.
So I'm explaining it all. And so she starts, she's like, okay, she's measuring Quinn's liver, which is, something that your liver, it gets affected once you have cancer. It's a whole thing I won't go into, but she's like, I'm gonna take her hemoglobin levels, and I was like, okay, and that's when they just prick your fingers. They're checking for your hemoglobin levels for that. Usually, sometimes it deals with your iron, but like if you're anemic, things like that, they'll do that. But also too, if you don't have hemoglobin levels, you don't have enough oxygen in your body, which is what happened to Quinn. So normal hemoglobin levels are like 11, 12. And Quinn's was sitting at a 3.6. So as an
Oh.
adult, like you wouldn't be we wouldn't be able to move because you can't.
Body can't function.
Body can't function. So the fact that she wasn't getting up on the stool makes sense because she doesn't have energy. The fact that she was just falling asleep makes sense. She didn't have any energy. And the bruises just because she didn't have any platelets. So her body was, she was days away from potentially dying. Close.
Yeah.
And so the doctor was like, and of course they didn't tell me and the pediatrician because they don't have answers. All I took was her hemoglobin levels, which could mean anemic or leukemia, right? There's, not many other things in between that. There could be, but those are the two big ones. And so she was like, go to Lutheran General, Advocate Lutheran General in Park Ridge right now. And I was like right now, like I'm still in my gym clothes, like gross. Like I'm like, it's Christmas. Like I have things to do. I grew up in Des Plaines, which is right next to Park Ridge. And so I called my mom because Joseph had to get the boys. And I was like, Mom, just meet me at Lutheran General, like in 30 minutes. And she's like, okay. Like no questions asked. My parents still live there. So it was nice to have them there. And I called Joseph and I just started crying and I said, it's not good. Like, I know. And he's like, you don't know that yet. And I said, I just know, like, I know, and that drive to Lutheran General is like the longest 45 minutes of my life, just like getting there and just like, I don't know yet. I don't know yet. Right. I kept telling myself we don't know yet. And I remember walking into the ER and it's December. So everybody's sick and it was full. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're gonna have to wait here forever. And it was like, they saw us, like they knew, and they're like, now, like in the back. And I was like, and then that was when I was like, this is not good. And so they sat her down, they started hooking her up and just started taking blood. Like, it was, if in the moment, it probably was like an hour, but it literally felt like 10 minutes. And then comes the doctor and he takes his little roller chair and he just sits like literally like this. And he says, we're looking at cancer. It was just, which with me, give it to me, right? Like, I don't want to be sitting here like, okay, well, but then it was just like, but we're going to fight it and we're going to beat it. Like, he was so to the point and I was like, yeah, let's do this, right? Because I didn't even have any emotions, but it was more of like Quinn's playing with all the toys that they gave her, but I was more affected about my mom. Here's my mom who, I get so emotional talking about this. It's like,
I'm so sorry. I
no,
did
it's
not
okay.
grab
Oh my gosh.
Kleenex. I need to get. We're gonna pause for one second. You can keep it rolling out, but I'm gonna go get because I'm about to start crying. So
we're just gonna have tears. So.
Steve's not prepared enough.
I know. We need to have like boxes of Kleenex and
We're learning as we go.
pens.
We're learning. Steve's got a lot to figure out.
It's okay. I'm glad I can help in
Iron out the kinks a little bit.
little details.
I literally told myself, I was like, I gotta get.
I know. I should have been like reminded you, like, hey, we should probably get Kleenex for last
Hey,
time.
we should probably get some Kleenex.
I might cry. So.
Okay.
Okay, let's read it.
All right. So, back to where you're at.
Yeah, so we were in the room. The doctor
Gave it to you.
Yeah, gives it to us. Joseph's not there yet. He was still getting the boys to my mother-in-law's, and but I once he said it was cancer. My mom just breaks down on the corner, and I mean, my heart just still breaks for her in that moment, is because she was in that same situation 25 years ago as she got that news that her son, that my brother Kyle, was diagnosed with stage 4 neuroblastoma. And I could only imagine her. I honestly really haven't ever talked to her about that moment, partly because it's so emotional for me, but like what she had to have thought about. Like here, now her granddaughter, has cancer, and we didn't know
like
what.
Deja vu.
Yeah, it was. And so, but in that moment, I was like, let's go, right? Like I'm a very like do person. So it was like, what do I need to do? How are we going to beat this? Like even from the day one, I was like, we got this, right? Like I will do anything in my power. What
other choice do you have?
Right. I will do anything
Sit
in my
there and lay and
right.
like,
right. And like some parents are like, super worriers or whatever. And I'm thankful that I'm not a worrier by nature. So, but I'm a very much like, let's go to action. Let's go to war here. And, I didn't know what that would look like, and those next few weeks were hard, to watch your daughter go through something like that. And they switched us to the another unit and started hooking her up. And I mean, we're talking 3 days before Christmas. This was December 21st. And here we are, like, Joseph and I are looking at each other and like, oh my gosh, our daughter has cancer. And then she had to fast because then she had to have a bone marrow. Like they have to drill in to see what type of cancer, which is awful. Like a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
Gosh, talking about.
We don't like to talk about it a lot, but my mom's got a form of leukemia too.
Yeah.
So, quick question:
Yeah.
the neuroblastoma.
Mm-hmm.
So, what kind of cancer is that?
It's a cancer. It's a malignant tumor that attacks your nervous, like central system.
And
so
then
by the time
leukemia is cancer.
it's more of your blood.
Of the blood.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's technically in the same family, because I did ask the doctor that. I said, is there
Genetic,
right? And he's like, you never know, and whatever it is what it is. But from that bone marrow biopsy, then they found that it was acute lymphoblastic leukemia, which is still terrible, but their protocols nowadays, like most kids, thank God, are cured. Not all, unfortunately not all. And I follow a lot of people on social and
most kids are cured from it.
Yeah. So, but there are a few that, unfortunately have passed away, and cancer is awful, and just what people, especially what kids, have to go through. I mean, they were giving Quinn chemotherapy, like, various types of chemo. She wasn't just getting one type. She got various throughout her treatment. But some of that my brother still received. And that was how many years ago? In the early 90s?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's crazy. Like, like, I'm glad that.
Yeah, compared to phones.
Gosh,
right?
like we can't come to
10
a
years
better
ago,
medical.
Yeah, 10 years ago, I had a Nextel.
Like the walkie-talkie.
Yeah. Where you at?
Things were like
also,
it was like a brick. You're like,
Nextel needs to bring those back. Those things rocked. I never called anyone with the next, like my dad, my brother, my mom, like everyone. I was just like, boop, boop, mom, you need to come pick me up. Boop boop. It was awesome having
Kids
those.
Don't even.
But you look at you literally have a supercomputer in your pocket at all times, right. And then the same medicine is being used
literally
for
the same.
Quinn 10 years later.
And it's hard for
many years later.
Watch any of your children go through that. But especially as a mom of a daughter, and to see all of a sudden to see her losing her hair, I think that was probably one of the hardest things for me, because it made it real. Like you see this little beautiful blonde,
And that's from the chemo.
yeah, almost. She turned 5 in January, so we spent Christmas in the hospital, and so surreal. I think about those moments all the time. But it's like 29 days from the day that you're diagnosed until the next stage is kind of like the most important 29 days. That then decides the next 2 years of your treatment, whether or not you're low or high risk. And it's like almost like going from like a gajillion cancer cells to like a million, right? Like we have so many cells in our body. So that when you first get diagnosed, you can see all those cancer cells because there's so many. So in that 29 days, they try to get you down to the fact that you can't see them, but they're still there, right? So you still have to do like 2 more years of treatment and then to get rid of every single cancer cell, because we have so many cells in our body that it takes that much, like, effort, all the chemo, all that, whatever, to get to that place of complete zero.
Right. So he rolls over on the chair and he says, we're talking cancer.
Yep.
At what point, like, what are your treatment options? Like, do they give you options, or are they
so
like,
after we got that
go this route?
biopsy and we figured out, then we had this massive packet that has all these different words, and like, this is what the next 29 days is going to look like. These are the type of chemo, this type of steroids, type of antibiotics, all of this stuff. And we still have it all. Like I kept every single paper, every single thing. And it kind of tells you like, this is what you're about to look into. At the time, unfortunately, and I mean, she's doing well now. One of our dear friends was also battling a blood cancer. Rare for her age, as a middle-aged woman. I can't remember what type of cancer she had, but they were going to some pretty big, like, name doctors. They have University of Chicago. They were out in New York. So he's like, send me your protocol. I want to send it and make sure that she's getting the best, best care.
Right.
And here's this amazing family going through, something similar. I mean, it was the wife, but still she's going through all of this, and they're taking the time to take our daughter's, treatment protocol to other doctors to make sure that she's getting the best care, that this is what they would do if under their care. Like, we had we had my uncle do that, and he was really big in the medical industry and had it, I think it was from Harvard, some big oncologist to look at it to make sure, like, hey, does this protocol with this line, would you do this?
Mm-hmm.
Just amazing how people came and was like, no, we want to make sure that Quinn's getting the best.
Well, when it happens to you, or you see it in person, and it happens very close to you, it is much different.
100%.
It's much different
When you understand, yeah.
Because it's like when my dad died, before my dad died, I would see people die.
Right.
And you're just like, not that I didn't care that people died, but it's just so different.
Right.
And you just kind of brush it off, like, oh, that'll, like, one of my best friends in 8th grade, his dad passed away, and I went to the funerals. I cried my eyes out, and I just remember seeing my friend, and I left, and it was almost like not non-existent that it didn't happen. I remember thinking, like, that's not going to happen to me.
Right.
And it happened.
Right.
So now when I hear things like that, I reach out. I'm like, hey, if you ever want to talk, I'm here. And I keep it really short, really sweet, really simple. And I'm sure it's kind of the same for you now if you hear of something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. You have that firsthand experience.
Well, yeah, you can, empathize. You can sympathize with these people because you get it. Like, you've had a huge loss. Like, your dad, like, that's your dad. You know what I mean? So you can understand. I mean, sure, I was young, but like, I saw my brother die. Like, you get loss, various ages of our lives, but you understand that, right? And so you have a different way to relate to people and to communicate to them. Same thing with me, with cancer. Like, I think in the past few years, I've had people reach out to me, like, hey, can you reach out to my friend? Or, hey, what can I do? Or things like that, because they understand. And they come to me because we went through that. And we went through it pretty publicly. Like, we had a Facebook page, a blog. I was very open to what Quinn was going through. Partly is that you know, at first that communication, like it was just overwhelming, like people trying to reach out to help. And so part of it was just a way for me to be like, go there, right?
Yeah. Don't text me anymore.
Right. And it's one of the things I always tell people too. I'm like, well, how can I help? Like in a situation like a death or, you know, God forbid, a kid getting cancer or a parent getting cancer or whatever it may be, right? Any sort of tragic situation. I said, unless you're not constantly in communication with them, like within their tribe or whatever you want to, their community, like don't reach out directly. Like if you want to say like, hey, I'm here, I'm praying, don't expect a response because trust me, it's a lot.
Well, it's crazy how mad people will get.
I know. And they're like, dude,
Like, dude, do you think I give a shit about you?
did you see my message?
Yeah.
And they'll like message you in every sort of
Yeah.
app. I'm like, I am just trying to learn what's going on right now.
Yeah,
like,
I messaged you. I sent you a text, but I'm just figured I'd just message you on Facebook too. Did you get my message? It's like, dude.
I had multiple people do that to me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I always tell people on the other end in that moment, like you need to also have grace because they don't know, you know? And, you know, on one end, like communicate through, you know, their close people. And those close people, like figure out what they need. I think one big thing too, that was huge for us, was like meals. Like have a meal train. I mean, that was big when I had babies. I think back all the time, like that was the best, and people would bring us food, especially in Quinn. And
Oh, I don't have to make dinner.
you're like, God, this is awesome.
Yeah.
But you know, like some people are like, I don't know how to cook. Okay, that's fine. Figure out what places they like to eat, or even better, get them a you know, go to Walmart and get a gift card or Target or Jewel or whatever, because they're not going to get meals for every single breakfast, lunch, dinner every single day. It's usually like every other day. And there's other kids. So I always say like, you know, sign up for a meal. Even if you don't bring one, either, I mean, thank God we have Uber and DoorDash and all the great things now. And so DoorDash them something, you know, something to their favorite restaurant. And then gift cards. Funny story. Quinn, one of the treatments is during all the chemo, they have to take all these steroids. Well, like they just full on rage. So like, right. So you hear this like 4-year-old, like, she's all like puffy and like, and she's like, you know, they can't sleep. So she's up at like 2 a.m. and she wanted like something with her taste buds. Like she wanted like cheesy stuff. So I would find her like in my bed with me, like just eating like, what are those things called? The
Cheez-Its?
Nope.
Cheese puffs?
Oh, I can't think of it right
Puff
now.
balls?
Puff balls.
Cheetos?
The healthier version. What are they? Pirate's Booty.
Oh,
So she would have bags of Pirate's Booty everywhere. And then she loved Panera mac and cheese. Like that was, she would wake up at 2 a.m. and be like, I want Panera mac and cheese. So I learned really quickly to like always have Panera mac and cheese in my refrigerator. So people would always ask like, what do you need? What do you need?
Panera mac and cheese.
So I was like, we need Panera gift cards. Well, I mean, the floodgates opened. No joke. We had probably over $2,000.
I still have Panera money. We have not used it all.
So if you guys want to go to Panera, no, we used it all. I got 3 kids, we know.
So now,
but anyway, so we had all this Panera gift cards for. Now I can't even eat there. Neither can Quinn. So because we had it so
it's
much.
like, I hate this place now.
But anyway, I would say like meals, gift cards, especially like gift cards to the restaurant that, especially the kid, or even if it's like a death, like right, like some sort of support. But
keep it short and sweet.
Yeah. Like,
you know, like
you don't need to go all out.
And I'm not comparing mine to yours, but I just in general, like a traumatic event like that. Yeah. When someone's had a traumatic event and you know it's traumatic, we don't care what you have to say. It's nice knowing.
Yeah.
It's nice knowing. So like a short, quick, sweet message.
Perfect.
Great.
If they don't respond, don't freak out.
Don't get upset if we don't respond, and keep it short and sweet. And they don't need overwhelming messages. You know, obviously if you're closer, send something a little more heartfelt, or go to their house or 100%, something. But
right, see how you can help be more of a support to outside those people that want to help.
Yeah, I think I eventually got to like all the messages, but it took me.
Oh, right, or the letters. It took me a long time.
Oh man, I got the sweetest letter. Oh, I don't want to cry.
See, glad you brought the Kleenex down.
I got the sweetest letter from her name was Kirsten. When my dad died, she sent me the best letter ever. Something about a letter. I don't know what it
Well,
is.
it's
It's
people
something about a
taking
letter.
time to like handwrite
Yeah,
or even type up. Like
it was like 2
something-
pages
yeah.
long,
I love that.
and I don't remember exactly. I have it somewhere, but
Hmm.
so Kirsten, if you're watching, I appreciate it. It was awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I don't
That's
know if I ever
something that-
wrote you back, and that's my fault. But,
But I also feel like I don't think people should expect that.
yeah, right.
you
No,
know?
that's not why you're
Like,
doing
that's
it.
not why you're doing it.
That's not why you're doing it.
So I would say that for sure. Those are, and I kept every single letter, note, card. You know.
So, what were your options of treatment?
Yeah.
So it was like
Yep.
this
So-
chemo or that chemo, or was it
No,
like
so
chemo or
they have a pretty good protocol now. You know, of like this is what works clearly because the protocol
They
that
have a
Quinn
track
wrote,
record.
Yeah. So I asked a lot of questions too. You know, like what does this look like afterwards, and what are there any, side effects? And of course, with anything, there's always side effects, even if they don't show up right away.
always?
But they said this is, I wanted to know, like, are there kids now that are 20s, 30s that have gone through this when they were a kid, and how are they living, and are they living a healthy life? And, and especially partly with Quinn, like, and I get it. Like sometimes you just can't have kids, but that's, will she be able to have kids? Like that's like, you know what I mean? Like, will it affect any of that? Right.
Well,
Like you don't know.
Who gives
like,
a shit? Like let's find out
well,
later.
I know, but like I know,
No,
but you know
I
what I mean?
know.
Like that was one of my questions, like for
Right.
sure, like the side effects of that afterwards. But like ultimately, like what is it going to look like on a daily basis, right?
Mhm.
It's kind of like what I, like my last question was like, okay, so what are we looking at, right? So it's kind of went back. Those 29 days was, crazy. Like she had chemo, like every day, pretty
For
much.
29 days?
Yeah, like.
And I know it's kind of different. Each protocol is a little different,
Mhm.
right? 'Cause-
So in the hospital, she like when we were there. So our hospital stay was probably from like the 20th. We actually got out Christmas evening, so that was kind of a cool little special treat to leave. But she was already probably like infused with chemo. I mean, multiple different ones at that point. And then when she got home, she had, chemo pills and steroids, and then would go in every week to get, hooked up. She had her port. She got her port in right before Christmas. The surgeon was amazing. He was like leaving, and we knew we weren't gonna be able to do it until like after, like a few days after Christmas to get her surgery. We'd have to stay there. And so he stayed extra and put it in. It was really sweet. I mean, it sucked, but sweet that he stayed, right?
Mhm.
To do that for us so we can go home. And so every week then we would go to Lutheran General, and they have an oncology hematology unit for kids there. And we would park, and freaking freezing because it's January at the time, and it was miserable. And she'd go in, they do all the, weight, height, all this stuff, and clean it up. And I mean, that needle is nuts. And they put that in those kids. And Quinn's a champ, though. That girl, I mean, throughout like the next few months, if we would do that for a while, and she
That was every day?
the infusions in the hospital, we would go once a week. So for those first few weeks, and then there's like 3 parts of the treatment. So it's like 29 days and like 6 months, 6 months of still a pretty intense treatment, and then you go on to maintenance, and usually maintenance is about a year and a half. So those 6 after that, she was low risk, which was awesome. And then she went into that low risk protocol. So then every week we would go.
So what determines low or high risk?
I think it depends. Man, I don't want to be wrong here, but I think it depends on like the cell count, the cancer cell count.
So I think
I can't
they
totally
measure
remember.
like out of 25 red blood cells, I think, if that's
I can't. I know they have to like do another biopsy. Like it's a whole like you got to go back into your bone marrow. Like it's
Yeah.
a whole.
Yeah, I remember my mom had to go through it.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to remember what the measurement was. It was, I'm going to butcher it.
I know. I don't want
Not
to say
even
something
try.
that but it's something along those lines. So then she went into low risk, which is great. But the nurses would fight over who had Quinn because she was like such a good patient. All right, like she would help like the nurses. I don't even know if that was. They were,
Let me just take
they'd be
this.
like, I got this, and she would just like shove it in. And she would like they would like have to take the blood first.
Yeah,
So then she
yeah.
would like stick the things in there, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this girl is she this like little 5-year-old? She's just like doing it like no biggie. And then they would just hook her up to chemo, and then you would just see this stuff come. It's just, ugh. And then every few like months, she would also get spinal, and those were the worst.
What's spinal?
Like they would like a spinal tap. They would put chemo through her spine. Yeah, which ultimately, and so that's when were the roughest days, because she would, she would come out. They would have to put her under the whole like thing, and she would just get headaches. But that because it's your spine, so it just shoots right into your brain.
Straight in your brain.
And so they would put methotrexate right into her spine every 3 months or so, because cancer cells hide everywhere, so it can hide.
So that's just like
your spinal fluid's
an
different than your,
assumptive.
yeah.
Like,
yeah,
hey,
yeah.
you have cancer, so we're gonna shove it in your spine too.
Yeah. Yeah. So those were the roughest days, and those are the days that would follow, that she would be either puking or just miserable or have huge headaches.
What point did she lose her hair?
I mean, she right away.
Right away.
Yeah. So she had I can't remember the name. It looks like asparagus. This type of chemo. It literally does. It's like AS, whatever. And that's the chemotherapy that attacks all cells. So your hair follicles, all of that. And so.
Well, that's the idea of chemotherapy.
Right. It's a
correct.
toxin.
It's
kills
it's
everything.
supposed to kill you just enough so the cancer decides, okay, we'll die first.
Yes.
And then once the cancer's dead,
Yeah. We'll keep you alive.
we'll keep you alive.
Right. Exactly. Not kill you.
A lot of people don't understand that. And actually, before you came, I was looking up, just doing like little research on chemotherapy.
Yeah.
And it sounds beautiful.
Right. Of course, they make it like
Yeah,
that,
they
right?
sell it like it cures cancer, it kills cancer, it does this, it does that. Nowhere in like probably the 10 pages I read was it's like it's killing. It's not just killing cancer, it's killing you. You are slowly dying.
Right.
And it's
that's what
it's
with
the
my
reality
questions of side effects, right? Like later down in life. And so
does she have anything going on right now?
no, not really.
So what's the protocol now?
Yeah. So once she was done, it was like an every month follow up. But actually, Quinn finished her last chemo January of 2020. So she rang the bell February.
Rang the bell and then had to go
and
straight
then
to
we
COVID.
had COVID. Literally.
What a lovely life.
It was. We were like, yes, 2020 is going to be our year. We were like pumped. Like this is exactly. Got totally just shit on. And it was
my God. Like
we were like,
who cares what our life's like?
No,
her life
right.
though, she was just
it was miserable.
survived cancer, and now, all right, Quinn, you're gonna do all your school on this here screen.
No, we're gonna be home.
Yeah.
All together. So it was like, and one of the like a great one of my friends told me this great thing to do. So for Quinn's Make-A-Wish, she wanted to go to Disney. And so they said,
Typical
Make-A-Wish.
Quinn.
Yeah.
Come on.
But here's the thing. I probably wouldn't do, I'm not a Disney person, sorry.
I'm not either.
And I wouldn't have done it. It's so expensive, and B, there's so many people, I just don't like crowd, whatever, the whole thing, right? But they treat you like royalty. Like you get on the, like I don't think I'll ever be able to do Disney like a normal peasant. Like we were treated like royalty. Like I could never go back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're the Make-A-Wish family. Put them in the castle. Give them an outfit. Where's Mickey Mouse? Bring him here now. We need Mickey. We need Minnie. We need everyone right now.
Like, oh, she's a Make-A-Wish. Oh, she had cancer. Like the girls would put her in the front. You know what I mean? Like it's so terrible. So terrible. But it was awesome. Like truly the best week ever with the kids. It was, I mean, they were such great ages to like enjoy the magic of Disney.
Yeah, good job getting cancer, Quinn. You gave us the best vacation of our lives. We'll never see it again, but it was good. It was good.
Thanks for dealing with that
Colton,
for the past
next.
2 years.
Colton.
Who's up?
Who's up?
We're going to Hawaii next.
We need another vacation. Make-A-Wish. Make-A-Wish.
But all these people were like freaking out because it was like COVID, you know what I mean? Like COVID, it's in China, and people were like, right, and things are shutting down, but nothing was shut down yet because it was like we were there like March 5th through like the 15th, right? So that was literally right before it was like
shut down.
Yeah. So we extended our trip and we went down to Naples, and dear friend let us stay in their house. It was just an amazing experience. And so but by the time we decided to do that, our flights were out of Orlando, so we had to drive from Naples to Orlando. We were late, we missed our flight, and the flight attendant like laughed at us and like, oh, it's okay, people are canceling, right? And left out. We were like, over for this disease?
Yeah.
Like we were like, what? In hindsight, I wish we just stayed.
Yeah.
We should have just been like, F it, we're staying in Florida.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we had to stay in
Well,
our
you didn't know.
house.
It was
We didn't know.
the beginning of it all
so
was
crazy.
actually like kind of scary. Like
It was. 'Cause nobody
it was
knew,
kind of scary.
right?
Really quickly, and well, you got to see it firsthand. Like really quickly, I was like, "This is bullshit. Like this
Right.
this is all going to be bullshit." And you were
Right.
kind of on the same train
Yeah.
as me. Like
Yeah.
we were, you know, we
like,
had
oh,
our
come on.
little group of people
Yeah,
where.
At first, I was like, "Oh my gosh, people are dying!" Like, and that
Well,
was
yeah,
like
dude.
when all the media was like showing you like
The
body,
COVID counter in the corner.
bodies in Italy, and it was like
Yeah.
just like bodies just piled up. I was like, "Oh my
It
gosh, we're all
looked
gonna
like
die."
medieval times where they
It
were just
did,
like
like the-
stacking
it
dead
was like the plague,
bodies.
right?
And it turned out all that was a freaking joke.
Right.
You know, it was overplayed.
It
And they had
was.
the COVID counter in the corner.
Right.
Like
it was just
death.
to scare you, and it was like, I'm like, for sure, like people died in like 100%, and it terrible, but it was like one of those things like, here I am, like my daughter just had cancer, and I'm like, so like, can we go back to normal? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
like she's fine. Like,
Yeah.
um,
Well, it's kind of like,
that was rough.
yeah, that's kind of like the worst thing that can happen is cancer. So it's
So
like COVID.
We got that.
What the shit's COVID? Okay, we're good. Okay, we're bulletproof now. And did you kind of get that feeling of like, all right, now we can run through a fire together? Well, and I'm
100%.
sure it brought your family that much closer too.
Oh, yeah, and just one of those things of, you know, going through it, like watching your child go through it. You know, I was her like sole. I mean, of course Joseph was there, but her mom, right? Like that, you become like the sole caretaker. For
Well, it's just
your kid.
different.
Yeah.
Men and women are different.
Right, right. And my husband, Joseph's awesome. Like he was so great through it. You know, partly as I had to kind of take a step away from work and be there for her. But just overall as a family unit, yeah, like going through, I mean, you could probably relate to this too, whether it's a death or an illness. It's that person. And this is Quinn's story, and I'll never discredit her because like would be selfish wise, but ultimately when some goes through that, whether it's a death or illness, like it becomes a family, right? Like I remember when my brother had cancer and I was young, like it was all, like we were all going through it with him, you know, because we're a unit. You're a unit, right? And when one hurts, we all hurt. You know, you're a body together. And so, you know, Kason was super young, but Colton remembers a lot of it. He was the oldest. You know, he saw her suffer, and you know, he saw her getting a lot of stuff, which I always tell people too. It's another thing. Don't forget about the siblings, especially going through something like that.
Well, yeah,
you know,
it'd be
like-
pretty easy to become invisible.
Right. Especially when they're older and they see that. And Colton, he's, you know, I don't give him as much credit as I should, but
So how old was Colton during Quinn's thing?
so Quinn was diagnosed right before her 5th birthday, so he was 7, right?
God, how could you
6,
understand?
6,
How
7.
could you understand?
Right.
You
You
can't.
can't. So
You
you're
can
like, all
say,
of a sudden,
yeah, I
like,
get it, but
she's getting like, you know, stuffed animals and I mean, the amount of stuff we got, which is great. And I'm glad people did that, but it's so much stuff. You know, it's all to Quinn, all to Quinn, all to Quinn. And so when you're 6, 7 years old and your sibling is getting all this
that's
crap,
a good point.
you know what I mean? Like you don't fully comprehend. I didn't fully comprehend what my brother went through until I got older. And then I realized like, oh my gosh, like, you know, so, and it definitely changes you. Like that whole experience with my brother and even Quinn, you know, changed me for the better for sure. But, you know, as a mom, like I could, you know, and anything that we do, right? Whether we're serving other people, coaching people, anything that we're outpouring, right? We need to be poured into. And I always remind, you know, whether they're caretakers or people, like just make sure that you are getting your bucket filled, because you can't pour out without getting poured into. And it sounds selfish, but it's not, right? Like, you know, when you're on the plane and they're like, make sure you put your oxygen mask on before you put it on to the person next to you.
That's
Sounds
my favorite
super,
analogy.
super selfish, but like, you're not going to be able to help your child next to you breathe if you can't breathe, right?
It's really easy for parents to do that too. My mom's
100%.
the worst.
Right?
She will just waste all of her energy on everyone else. And she'll be like, oh my God, I'm so tired. I'm like, yeah, because you don't do shit
You
for
don't
yourself.
So I'm like, I can't help Quinn, or we can't help our child or whoever it may be without getting that for ourselves. And that can look in so many different ways, you know? I mean,
Did you find out the hard way that you need this?
no,
What do
that
you
sounds so selfish. No, I selfishly did all this stuff for
yeah,
myself.
yeah.
Um,
Like, what do you do for yourself where
Yeah,
you kind of recharge your batteries, especially as a mom of 3? Well,
right.
as a mom of 3 and dealing with a kid who had freaking cancer and
Yeah. I mean, for me, number one is my faith. I've always been, my faith in Jesus Christ has always been so important to me.
were you born into that?
I was. Kind of. My parents became Christians when I was really young, so I don't really remember them not. But yeah, I was kind of born into that, faith-based religion. I hate the word religious because it gets such a bad rap. But
Now it does. It
well,
used to be
because
just like
religious
a
people
thing.
can be. I get it,
Yeah,
right? You
yeah.
know, you just have to live your life and live it accordingly. But to me, I couldn't get through that or just every day without my relationship with Jesus and what that means to me and the strength that was given, and then the hope that I have in that, knowing that whatever happens, in that situation and in every day of my life, that that we're here only for a small time, and
Such a small time.
right? And so to have that hope in eternal life in heaven through him, like that was my number one. Number two is the community. Whether going through something like that or even just every day, you can't do it alone. I can't get 3 kids to 8,000 practices every day without other people. And I couldn't have gotten through.
When you say community, are you talking about
Like your tribe, your village.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know if you meant more on a broader spectrum, like your school and stuff.
And
but
I was gonna allude to that in just a second. But that can mean so many different things to so many
my
different
tribe
people.
is so small now.
Right. Mine too. I
It's
think
so
that
small.
comes with age, though.
So you say, that's why
know?
you said community, and I was like, oh, okay. Like my
I don't
tribe
have that
is
many
like
friends.
it's like one person.
No, but even people that even on your kids' teams and things like that, we can't. There's only 2 of us, and some people are single parents, and you know what I mean. You have to rely on they're amazing people. I don't know how they do it, but is especially when we're going through it. Our kids' school. Our kids go to Trinity Oaks Christian Academy in Cary, and I'm so thankful for that community of people there.
Yeah, you love that school.
I love it.
You talk about it a lot, and I'm not saying that you talk about it a lot. I'm just you notice that it's nice to see that you love where your kids go.
Yeah.
Because
such a
it's
great
something that I
community.
think about all the time.
Right.
Like,
You have
especially
to. I mean, your kids, when it's crazy, you have to start thinking of their schooling now as preschoolers.
well, especially in Illinois,
Right.
and you're in a private school,
I'm in a
so
private school.
But I'm pretty sure, and put a little note and fact check me on this, but I'm pretty sure there are people pushing for sex education in 1st grade.
Oh, I think, especially in Illinois, yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's 1st grade. And again, Alex, we can fact check me, or if you have
They're
a
gonna
second to
cancel
look
us.
it up.
I'll check it in a second.
But someone said that to me a long time ago, and it's just like, where are we going?
Why would
What
you
are we
want them?
doing? And that these are the people that I'm going to
yeah.
talk to I'm going to let a stranger teach my kid
1st grader? They
that
don't
a
need to know
woman
about
could
that.
be a man and
I
a
barely
man
am
could be
talking
a
to my
woman.
6th grader about that.
Yeah. It's like,
eh.
no way in hell am I going to let a stranger teach my child about the birds and the bees.
Yeah, and they do it in school, but our school, they do it in 5th grade, and they let you know.
Mm-hmm.
So we had that conversation with Colton last year.
Yeah, we did it in 5th grade. I remember that.
Right.
And
They only do here's the anatomy of a male, and
Yeah.
here's and it's like.
yeah, even then,
my
5th
gosh,
grade,
a
I
penis.
think that's too damn, it's too young. I remember there's this kid, we were doing sex education in 5th grade, and there's this kid, Jimmy Soroka. Jimmy's like, I'm gonna ask him a question today. Because we knew sex ed was that day.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm gonna ask if it gets stuck. And I'm like, I remember thinking
Don't ask.
don't do that.
That's a bad idea.
That's a dumb question.
Dude, you're an idiot.
And of course,
He did it.
he did it, and the whole class just started cracking up, and I'm
He's
just like, this
he
is
had the
ridiculous.
name that he sounds like
Jimmy Soroka.
Yeah, the
you
class
sound
clown.
like a problem. Soroka.
Yeah.
He was too.
Exactly. How many
He
detentions
was,
do you
yeah.
have, Jimmy?
What if it gets stuck?
Jimmy, go to the
Shut up,
office.
Jimmy. Jimmy, go to the principal.
Right now. Call your mom, Jimmy.
I had another question.
Yep.
Did they? So was it? Because it sounds like we're talking chemo.
Yeah.
Was it a holistic approach at all, where they would change her diet, where they would change?
I did ask that.
Her lifestyle habits and things like that. And did you guys do that? Because sounds like you had a lot of Panera mac and cheese.
We did have a lot of Panera mac and cheese. At first, I was like, okay, we're gonna like change. I mean, not like my kids are eating crap every day, right? But, I asked the doctor. I was like, Joe, do we need to like change, what we eat? Like, does she need to eat certain foods? Like, And he's like, oh, you're gonna. I think he kind of chuckled because he knew, right? He's like, yo, you're gonna slowly realize that you're just gonna give her whatever she wants. She's gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
So at first, those first few weeks when she was, raging Quinn because of the steroids, we just let her eat whatever she wanted, and it pretty much consisted of Panera mac and cheese and Pirate's Booty. So probably not as healthy as you would want, but they don't want anything else because they're all that stuff in their body.
Well,
which
and then
sucks,
the mom plays in a factor too. Like I just want her to be happy.
Right.
Like who knows what's gonna happen.
So,
So they do, but they don't. They don't really push it.
They're not like, oh my gosh, do all of this. I did have somebody reach out to me, and this. I always share this story. They sent me this like YouTube video. I feel like Dani today would react a lot differently than Dani reacted back then. Probably for the worse now then. But she sent me this video on the natural, like holistic way to cure cancer, which again, if I was like 7 years old, I might try that, right? Because it's like you lived a good life. I feel like there's
definitely integrative medicines.
100%. And I will never discard that. But when I have a protocol sitting in front of me that's
tried and true,
and it's going to cure my 4-year-old daughter, like, I'm sorry.
I'm
not going to test stuff on and just hope that she will survive.
Did they say like this is going to cure, or were they?
They're like, here's some. I can't even remember what they said, but it was something like,
Oh, I was talking about the doctors.
Oh, sorry.
Did the doctors say like this is going to work, or was
100%.
it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
He looked at me like straight and was like, "This is like she's going to beat this, and we are going to see the light at the end of the tunnel."
Yeah.
Like there was never like, well, there none of that. So, and I did ask, like, do you think diet would be a good, like, how to her exercise?
It's certainly not going to hurt.
No,
to lock
and that's
in
what he
a
said.
diet.
He's like, of course, but it's not like we were eating, McDonald's and Twix and.
You're kind of close. Panera mac and cheese and
no, I mean
Pirate's Booty.
I mean like beforehand. It wasn't like you were like, what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so it wasn't like we were like all of a sudden we had.
I was like, you weren't far off, Dave.
I mean, like, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Now I
no,
can't
I
even like
saying.
look at it being like.
No,
oh,
I know
disgusting.
you're a healthy person. I mean, you're one of the most, if not the most consistent gym goers at TNT.
Yeah, I mean that kind of goes back to my filling your cup. Filling your bucket.
Well, that's
right?
what I was trying to get you to say that.
Well,
too.
I was trying to, and then I was
sorry.
giving you 3 different
you
things.
messed it up,
so,
Steve.
sorry.
Yeah.
Well, then we started talking about community, my kids' school, and
No,
I was
for
going to
sure.
say like just how incredible they were that came around us during that time, just the support and the prayers and just all the things that they did. But for me, one of the biggest things is just working out, finding that time for myself.
And you make the time in the morning, no matter what.
No matter what.
No
Partly as I'm going to kill
matter
somebody. Kill like my kid and husband, whomever.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
You know what I mean? Like I need to start my day off with that. I do. And so I always tell people, I'm like, find something. It doesn't have, you know what I mean? Especially exercise. There's something about it, endorphins, whatever you want to say, just especially for me in the morning, just gives my day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Projects it in a way that I want it to go.
You're going to have some really amazing workouts. You're going to have some workouts where you just kind of walk through it and you just did the motions today.
Like,
and then
right.
you're going to have some that are just like, eh. But the ones that are good.
You're like, that was awesome.
That, I want to, like, we have
right.
Ozempic is like the big push right now, right?
Like lose weight, yeah.
People are taking Ozempic, which we know now is like
not good.
Serious side effects.
Yeah.
But I wish I could make a pill and recreate the feeling that you get in the middle of like just a juicy pump.
And you're like,
you're sweating, you're struggling, but getting through it, and you finish, and like that feeling right there, which especially like as a man, you're just like, and and you're like, God damn,
Hormones are
I could
raging.
kill everyone right now. I could take on the world. That's the feeling you literally get when you work out.
Yeah.
And so many
Right.
people don't even bother trying to get it. They're just like, it's hard.
Yeah, they're like, I just don't want to do that.
It's hard. I don't want to do that. That's working out's not for me. You know what works for me? I cut carbs. Yeah. Okay,
I'm
Karen.
going on a diet.
Yeah. Let's see how long that lasts.
Right. Or they're like, I'm just going to do this. And I always tell people, like, find something that works for you 100%, but be consistent, you know? And that's anything in life, though. If you're not consistent and dedicated to said whatever, like, you're just going to be like, meh, you know? And I know some people are built different, right? I'm a self-motivator. I don't need that, you know? Like, I'm like, I just do it. And I know that's
Well, it's
different
changing the
too.
mindset between want and need. It's like, do you brush your teeth?
Right.
Of course you brush your teeth.
It's gross. Some
Nobody-
people don't. It's gross.
But you know what I'm saying? The people that don't want bad breath. But of course you brush your damn teeth.
Right.
It's just
Right.
it's just something you do.
Right.
Do you ever want to brush your teeth? Unless you got that like that
Yeah,
gunky
that where it
feeling.
feels like it's
Nobody
like
ever wants.
film
Plus,
on it.
I know everyone's been there. You lay in bed before you brush your teeth and you're like, "Oh, you know what? Maybe I could skip a night brushing teeth." But you do it anyway.
Yeah.
You get up, you brush your teeth anyway. That's
Yep.
the mindset that you need to change for working out. You just need to,
You just need to do
and
it.
you have it.
Yeah.
You freaking have it. You're there every single morning.
Yeah. Yeah. I think too, like, it's just, you know, when you're determined to do something, you're dedicated to do it, it's ultimately going to turn into like a desire to do it, right? You're going to see not just your body changing for the better, but just your mental health. And just, I always feel like when I work out, it sets the tone for the day. So I'm just so much more productive, you know, managing my time. And just, you know, we don't have a lot of time in our day, right? So,
Oh, they're so short.
right? So if we're getting it from me, like, I got to work out and then I like rush home. I get my kids ready for school. I get ready to go to work. I work, you know, whether it's at home or I'm in the office, whatever that may look like. And that's, you know, like today, like I get my kids at 3. I coach basketball at my kids' school. So we have games today. So I'm doing that.
Go.
Right. So,
It's really easy to take care of yourself at that point in the day.
right.
So
It is because I'm like, by the time, like, when am I going to do that? You know, so for me, the mornings, it's just A, that's the only really time, and B, it just sets the tone for the day. It just gets you in that mindset, and also helps me eat better, right? Like, I'm like, okay, get home, I'm having protein, whatever it may look like. Mindset, like for eating purposely too, like that helps when I know that I'm working out. And I've gone through a lot. My like mindset on my body and working out has shifted a lot now that I'm, you know, 38. But you know, even as a college girl, right? And you know, like you talk about the freshman 15, and that's when I like kind of clicked and was like, I need to change something. But there was something where it almost became like unhealthy. Like it was the way that my body looks and this, and sure, like there's a healthy version of that, but it almost was like a, you know, I'd never, thank God, never dealt with a eating disorder, but I had more of like a body image disorder for a very long time. It was like, I have to work out or I'm going to gain 50 pounds. Like, it was just like stupid. Like, instead of being like, I want to work out for myself, for just the health, for, you know, the health purposes, the mindset purposes, instead of looking at it like, oh my gosh, like, you know, I'm not gonna be able to fit into these size jeans, or, you know, and so that took me a long time to get to a more of a healthier view of workout than this, like, I'm gonna run a marathon so I can be skinny. you know?
I have a unique take on the body dysmorphia.
Yeah.
Because like I definitely think I have a little bit of like a body dysmorphia
I
issue.
still do too, for sure.
Yeah,
I feel like once you just, I get it, right?
yeah,
like
I
still, for
definitely
sure.
have a little bit of it because
Yeah.
I'll just look in the mirror and be like, "You fat little shit, dude."
I do that all the
You're-
time.
I'm just
like,
like,
what the heck?
this is the camera. You're so fat. Look at you. You don't have it. You said you were gonna have a 6-pack like 20 years ago, bro. And I'm
Come on, get your act together.
people will be like, "Oh, that's really unhealthy." But like, no, I think it's
good.
healthy.
It's healthy.
There's an unhealthy
yes.
line,
Right.
of course, but it depends on how much weight you put on
Yes, I
that
agree.
subject. And
Yeah.
and I actually had to talk with a client not long ago where they're like, "Oh, I just have a really unhealthy image." I'm like, "Explain me your image." She's like, "I just want to be skinnier. I want to be a little more toned." And I was like,
There's nothing wrong with that.
"Sounds
I
healthy
feel-
to me.
That's me all the
Like,
time.
what's unhealthy about that
Right.
conclusion?" You want to look better. And that's the best. I think that's one of my favorite things about working out.
Right.
There's never a finish line.
No, you're always
which is a
trying to
little
get better.
frustrating at the
It
same
is.
time, but you have your small wins along the way. Like those
Yeah.
days where you do wake up and you're like, oh, what's up, baby? Like I flex like every day. I flex like
I'm sure
every
you
day.
do.
Totally, 100%.
That is hilarious.
It's like you got to do your daily check.
You're like, all right,
that's
well, which is good, right? You're like, okay, I can probably, and I know for me is just eating, like just eating in general. I wouldn't even say like eating better. Just I know I'm just like I don't eat enough. Just with craziness and just being better prepared, and that's always probably been my biggest struggle is
the preparation, meal preparation,
and just finding the time to eat. And that falls on me. I 100%. There's nothing that I'm like, oh my gosh, like.
Maybe you should just jump on this fast with me.
I'm
in the middle of a 3-day fast right now.
At this point,
Yeah. Was working out really big when you were going through like the chemo and stuff?
I still worked out almost every day just to make that a priority. And a lot of times too, with that, I would work out at home. But I feel like, especially with Quinn, is when I started to like really start lifting heavier weights. I went through like kind of a different transition into like what working out looks like for me. I didn't play college sports. So,
but you've always been an athlete.
I've always been an athlete. I played sports my whole life, even into high school. And then I missed that. I got into college and I wasn't doing anything. And that was a weird, like, oof, and that's when I started my love for running. That's when I started running half marathons, and I started running marathons with my mom. And but I was like, okay, like I get the runner's high, like for sure understand that. But it was like, okay, this is it.
You do get runner's high?
I've gotten
it.
I don't think I've ran more than 3 miles, and like when you're like it was like 0.5 on the treadmill, it's like mother.
Yeah. Half mile on treadmill, son of a bitch. Jess is like, fuck that treadmill. It kills my calves.
She's like, my calves.
Yeah. My cat, and she tells us every time.
Every
She's like,
time.
ugh, my calves on that damn treadmill. And we're talking about the curved treadmill. It's just different. It's not the same as a regular treadmill.
I mean, it does. Yes, it's not great, but yeah, that's. And
But you have experienced runner's high.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
I've experienced it one time.
What was the distance? You're like 1 mile.
It was probably like 3.
Yeah. See, when you run that endurance, like
yeah, no, I don't do distance. I'm not
You're
saying that Alex just gave me a look. Fuck you, Alex. No, but I know I know it's not far. I know it's not far. But I did experience the runner's high, and I've never been or wanted to run.
You just want to just keep running.
Yeah, and when I say 3 miles, I'm saying that's when I experienced the runner's high. So I probably ran like another mile or so.
Yeah,
after.
I always feel like 3 miles is the worst because then it's like once you get over that hump of like, then you just keep going.
Yeah, once you hit
your body
hit that feeling, it was like, okay, this is easy now.
Then I ran a marathon back in my third one, Chicago. It was right before Colton. I got pregnant with Colton, so it was 2010. 10? He was born in 2011, so then I got pregnant.
Do you miss running?
Here and there, I'll have moments of like, oh. So I ran the Cary half marathon a few years ago, like right when I started TNT, I was training for the half marathon, and that half marathon is rough because there's a lot of hills.
Yeah,
you don't like realize that. But when I started having kids, I was like to find, time to run. I would. It was kind of like my way when I got back into shape. I would put the kid in like the Bob running stroller and, but then you start having multiple kids and that gets a little tough. So I started doing a lot of at home workouts.
What was that like?
It was fine. I mean, I hate being at home, right? There's something about being in a community like a gym there's nothing like it. But again, it kind of goes back to my like, I'm just gonna work out because I don't really care. That's just who I am. And so I would do these, I think it was like 30-minute workouts. And it would be like 2 different circuits and you would do them 7 minutes each, as many as you can, many reps as you can, like 2 different exercises. And then like I would start getting weights with that and started like, okay, like, and I started liking like, oh, my body's toning in a different way. And then and then I started to do that a lot, but I was able to do that at home. And then Quinn got sick. And that's when I was like, I needed to go. I needed to leave my home because we were there a lot. And that's when I started, I think that's when we started going to the YMCA, and that's when I started to like figure out like, oh, this is what a Scott machine. You know what I mean? Like I never did that. I never, you know,
Well, then
nowadays there was never weight training in high school.
Mhm.
We never did that. And so to like understand like what these machines do, I was like, oh, okay. And then you see how your body's changed. To me, I was like, I like this workout. Like I started to be like, this is what I like.
Well, it definitely enhances your experience going somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
It definitely enhances your experience. And for me, it's like because I have so much weightlifting equipment. I have a whole warehouse full, and in our well, it's now our rental property, but in our last house, I was like, I'm gonna build a badass gym. You know, I'm gonna save time. I'm gonna work out in my house. And I had this awesome setup. I had a Stairmaster, rack, bumper plates, bars, all
Everything you
top of
needed.
the line
Yes.
stuff. I didn't use it once. Didn't use it once.
Because you're by yourself.
Because you're at home.
Right. And
When I'm home, I'm home.
you're home. You're like, I just want to be.
I need the
me.
process of like driving somewhere,
Mentally, it helps too.
Yeah.
Like people are like, man, you drive like how like it probably takes me 15 to 20 minutes to get to the gym.
Yeah.
But I like that time.
Yep.
If there's whether
Blast some music.
yeah, especially at like 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah,
like,
and the roads are just empty.
you're, like,
I love that
just
feeling
flying,
too. Yeah.
right? But sometimes it's like it just kind of like gets you like prepared for your workout.
Well, it's
instead
like a
of,
test.
Waking up, oh,
Like you don't just go into a test.
Right.
You study.
right.
And then before the test, you're like, okay, I need to get a little coffee. I need to
Yeah,
drink
go
my
to the
water. I need to,
bathroom. Like
you know, I need to
right.
get ready for my
Right,
test. Like
right.
that's how I approach my workout. And if I had any piece of advice off the top of my head right now for working out, is go somewhere.
Mm.
Find and
Yeah.
if you can find a workout buddy, great. If you want to get a trainer, even better. Like if you want someone to hold you accountable, awesome. But you don't need anybody.
You don't need anybody.
You do not need anybody. It's like you. You don't need anybody, but it
helps.
It helps. It helps. Your workout's written.
Mm-hmm.
You have everything you need,
You just go to town.
and just go.
Yeah.
You need help? Hey, Steve, what's this?
Yeah.
Like like you'll drop a question here and
Yeah.
there, but you're like the easiest client ever.
Oh, thanks.
Um. Okay, so where are we at? Where
I
are we
found
at?
some interesting reading. You guys kind of got
okay, yeah,
sidetracked,
fair-
but-
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
sure.
forgot about that.
Can you see this okay?
Yes.
All right.
So
wanna
in
read it?
August 2021, Governor Pritzker signed 2 bills into law implementing new mandates. Oh Jesus, what did you just do to me?
I made it bigger.
Where did it just go?
It's like I don't know where was I?
The new standards are modeled from the national sex education standards and are developed by progressive groups that require children in grades K through 12 to be able to define gender, gender identity,
Oh
and
my
gender role stereotypes.
Here we go.
Third grade, they will be taught to define and explain the difference between cisgender, transgender, gender non-binary, gender expansive, and gender
Do you
identity.
have any idea how freaking confusing that's going to
I
be
don't
to
even know
these
what
children?
that means.
Dude, I don't even think I like.
This one was great. Just read the grades 3 through 5 here.
All right, grades 3 to 5. Explain common human sexual development and the role of hormones, romantic and sexual feelings, masturbation, mood swings, timing. Did I say timing of
Yeah.
puberty onset? Okay, ridiculous.
Which is
Just-
crazy because my
so-
son is in 3rd grade and my daughter is in 5th grade.
Yeah,
so
so
just
they-
put that in
so they-
perspective. here.
8-year-olds in school, what
Right.
masturbation
So this-
is.
Like my
just to
8-year-old
be
son
clear,
right
this
now.
is a plan for teachers,
No way.
an educational standard for a teacher.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
passed
Oh
in
With the
my
rule- with the
God.
laws
in
that were put
3rd
into
grade,
place,
we're
right?
going to teach
6th through 8th grade define vaginal, oral, and anal sex.
6th grade.
Which I still think they.
Hold on, can I finish grades 2 to 5?
Okay.
Describe the role hormones play in physical, social, cognitive, and emotional changes during adolescence and the potential role of hormone. Okay. Oh, whoa. The potential role of hormone blockers on young people who identify as transgender. I was like, this is fine. And then
Yeah.
that second part. Okay, so in grade 3, we're teaching kids that they can switch genders. Cool.
Here's the thing, though. Like, especially at that age, like a lot of girls are like tomboyish. Like I played sport. Like I like, dude. I
We
didn't
just had
care.
Kimmy on. Kimmy was like, I was a boy when I was
Right.
younger.
Like right. So so people would be like, oh, you need to start going
yeah.
to be a boy. Like that's the part of me like I just don't understand.
I will die on this hill. Well, it's crazy because the progressives are like, love your body, love who
crazy.
you are, love everything about you. You're you. You're one of
Right.
one. And then in the same token, gender affirming surgery is the way to go if you feel like you're stuck or in the wrong body. And,
yeah, like you don't know what
but
you are.
but
yet.
also there are multiple genders, and gender does not define sex, and sex does not define gender. But then gender affirming care is chopping off your genitals to change to the other gender. It's this crazy, totally arguing, like it's just these opposing ideas coming in and making no sense. It doesn't make any sense.
I just don't let kids at such an early age to allow them to do that. Like, dude, I didn't even know half the things, right? Like, I didn't figure out who I
care.
I didn't figure out who I was until probably into my 20s.
I just knew girls looked a little different.
Right.
I wasn't into them yet.
Right.
I don't even remember.
I-
Well, third grade, you're probably starting to think the other sex is cute.
Yeah, when you're cute, like, dude, I was.
Yeah.
Like, girls don't understand. Like, I feel like I look at girls like junior high school, even I would say junior high. They don't know what awkward stage is anymore.
Yeah.
Did you have an awkward stage?
An awkward stage?
Yeah, like
I had a big gap.
in your
Yeah.
teeth.
Yeah, I had a big gap, and I didn't really have an awkward stage, I would say.
Like, I just feel
I
like
had this pretty smooth
I see
transition.
these girls and they're like, I'm like,
I was
oh,
tall and lanky and like just looked like a giraffe
Yeah,
at
like-
one point because I just got
dude, I
so
had like
tall.
glasses and braces.
I feel
my
like girls,
hair was like I have naturally curly hair, so like I didn't know
Mhm.
how to do
you got like a lion's mane of
lion's
head
mane, right? So it was like,
of hair.
dude,
Sorry,
I have
lion's
this.
mane of head.
I need to pull up this picture. You're gonna laugh. I gotta find it. I mean, it's rough. Like,
I feel like girls definitely go through an awkward stage much harder than boys do.
yeah, I just feel like I look at girls now and I'm like, dude, you don't even understand.
Well, and girls are also trying to dress.
Look at this gem.
You have this?
Uh,
That's you?
yeah.
All right, I'll have to send it to Alex. We'll put it in. Make a note to throw. Oh my God, you are a boy. You are the
Look at those shoes.
definition of this girl needs to do some gender affirmation.
Right. Like,
Block her
when did they
puberty.
teach me, like,
Give her some hormone
maybe you
blockers.
should be a
We
male.
can't- we're not gonna be able to see it. We'll have to.
I'll just send it.
Yeah, just send it in
it's
our.
it's pretty great. I'm not gonna lie. My mom's like, "Oh my gosh, you're so cute." Oh,
Oh, stop! You're cute. Like,
I
Mom,
love that stage.
I'm
Like,
ugly.
Mom, you couldn't help me out a little bit. Be like, not a great look. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Anyway. So like, what they can be like? Oh, maybe you should. Have you ever thought about changing genders? Like, dude, I just was going through an awkward, weird stage. I didn't know
Right.
what.
Well, if it wasn't presented to you, like you can change genders, you would never ever think
No, 100%.
I'm going to change genders.
This is what it was.
And that's what bothers me the most is because, like, if I wanted to convince a third grader
right.
to do whatever I wanted,
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty confident I could.
Probably,
Like, they're just
yeah.
so malleable,
Right.
and they're so
Especially if you're on
gullible.
YouTube.
Yeah.
They'd be like,
Yeah, if you're on
"Steve, use
YouTube,
YouTube,
yeah.
yeah, it's awesome."
Steve said on YouTube channel, jump off this bridge and I'll turn into a cat. So I think I'm going to try it out.
Sounds like Kason.
Yeah.
Like Kason has like random knowledge, and I'm
Yeah.
like, "Where'd you get that from?" It's
Yeah, like if I
this guy.
and Stevie's 3, and I'm pretty sure they were saying 3 years old. Well, actually, I've seen articles that say as young as, oh, we know it's the other. We know in the womb.
yeah. Or
that
parents
this
like,
is-
we're not naming them.
We're not gonna give 'em a
because
gender.
it's not a he
We're gonna
or
let them
she. It's a
decide."
they until they decide. I'm like, does he have a penis or a vagina?
Yeah.
What's that movie?
And you-
Kindergarten Cop.
You are bad for saying that.
Right. Terrible.
You
I know.
are. God, we can go a whole
We
other
can go all down this road
2
for
hours
sure, but
on this. Oh my
nobody
God, it
wants
just
to
drives me
hear
crazy.
Steve and Dani rant, but yeah,
We are on the same page with that. We've
we
talked
are.
about that before.
We've talked about that.
It's really tough for
Mhm.
me to change a kid's gender or support taking drugs. Drugs.
I think it's child abuse. I will stand firm on that 100%.
yeah.
there's-
Is it possible maybe that there's one or couple kids here and there that just feel
100%.
different
100%.
and they feel
but,
like they're in the wrong body? Maybe they're gay.
right.
Maybe it's
Have
not.
you talked to them? Like, you know what I mean? Like, had like
Yeah, it would
conversations
be-
instead
it
of
would
being
be-
like this. What
Oh,
I don't know.
God, it would be so hard for me to support it, but maybe, I
Yeah.
haven't seen every scenario in the world, maybe there's 1 or 2 scenarios where I could. What are you looking up, Alex?
But having that conversation, that goes back to that, just having a conversation with people and being respectful in that. Like,
Yeah.
Because my view and your view is different. Like, I'm a terrible human being.
You know what really
I don't
changed
know.
my mind
Drives me crazy.
is when I did a deep dive onto the actual gender affirming surgery. Do you know what they do?
Oh, you were we talked.
I showed
about
you
this.
pictures.
Yes. And I
Because
was like, this is crazy.
yeah, because whatever's on my mind, I just share with my clients. And
usually at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah.
oh, I gotta show you this.
I was like, guys, I gotta show you what I just did a deep dive on. And what are you looking up? You're
I can't find it. I'm getting there.
Okay.
Keep going.
But you look at the surgery, and I showed you pictures of it. You're
Yeah.
just like, oh, and you can't help but make a face at it
Well, it's
because
just
you are
terrible.
mutilating. They take it from your forearm or they take it from your thigh. They take just a big, and this is if you want to go female to male. And they take a big chunk of your skin. So you have a giant scar on your forearm or you have a giant scar on your thigh, and they just wrap it like a penis, and they sew it on. And that is a successful surgery.
But it's not.
It's not a penis.
But it doesn't do anything.
It doesn't do anything.
So
It doesn't work at all. And we're the doctors that do that. The doctors that are like, you know what? I'm just gonna tape this. Or I'm sorry, not tape. I'm just gonna sew this phallic
like,
shape
like
right over the woman's genitals. And then what if they got pregnant? What happens then? That'd be crazy. Well, I mean,
can you? Is it
are you
over
covering-
that? Are you covering it, or
I
is
don't
it
know.
just?
I don't know. We need to have an expert on.
Yeah,
Make
we
a
do.
note, Alex. Let's get
Yeah, I would actually.
let's get one of those doctors on. Oh, that would be awesome if we can get
I
one of
would
those
listen to
doctors
that.
on.
Again, it goes back to
A
just
gender affirming surgeon. That would
being
be
respectful
amazing.
and listening to people and their viewpoints.
No, I'm willing to listen, but it
I'm willing
doesn't.
to listen too, but it's not going to change what I think.
Exactly right.
But it
I'm-
doesn't mean that because what I'm saying that you can't listen to me.
right.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm
Well,
still going to talk to you as a
But we've been taught
Yeah.
this way of thinking is
Right.
bigoted,
right.
and you're transphobic. Like, no, a phobia is like I'm scared. I'm
Yeah,
not
like,
scared
like,
of
I want
trans
to be
people.
by you. Like, no, that's not.
I'm not scared of you.
No.
I just think your decisions are a little weird, and that's okay.
Right, it is okay.
It's
You can
okay.
think my
don't think
you can
you're-
think my religion is weird. I don't care what you think.
Oh my God, I know so many
Right?
people that as soon as you say you're religious, they think a certain way of
Oh,
you.
and for sure, once I said that, I'm like, they're gonna listen and be like, "Oh, she's one of those Bible."
she's a Bible humper. Yeah,
You know
she's
what
a
I
Bible
mean?
humper.
Until you get to know me, like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it and that goes with anybody though.
hmm
And I feel like we've like lost that.
We've lost the idea, and again, going back to the whole team thing. You know, now it's you got to be on this team or this team. It's like no, there's a spectrum on each team.
Crazy.
You know, like I totally ride the middle of
Oh, we talked
pretty
about
much
this too,
everything.
yeah.
We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Like people are not willing to listen to me, in my opinion, it's just because of one thing or the other, or the conspiracy tinfoil hat stuff. That's my favorite. Oh,
Yeah.
you're a conspiracy
You
theorist.
post all
Well,
those things on your
yeah,
Instagram.
which also all of the COVID conspiracies turned out to be
You were right.
pretty true. Pretty true. And Kelsey asked me the other night, she's like, do you like being right? And I was like, it's really hard not to gloat in the COVID one.
Yes.
Because
100%.
so many people were talking shit.
I think for me, it goes to just the vaccine.
Yeah.
People being like, get vaccinated. And I kept saying, like, no.
You
no,
don't
no.
care.
Or
about
even like
other
Quinn's
people.
doctor when it's like now, like we just go like once a year. And he sat us down for, I think, almost an hour of why Quinn should get vaccinated.
No way.
100% during her appointment.
Does she feel she feels stupid now? I don't know. You got to bring it up. You got to.
Like,
do you remember when you pushed the
Push
vaccine?
the vaccine of like how hard it was. And I said, and I respect him so much. Like, I mean, clearly he was
Well, he was brainwashed.
right. But he
It's
was
not his fault.
right,
It's the
100%.
drugs. It's the drug
And- right.
companies.
But I was like, dude, I just like you just put so much crap into my daughter's body that I have no idea what it's going to do later on in her life, right?
And now you're telling me to add another.
Add this that I don't know, if that's going to even mix well. You know what I mean? I don't know what her body is going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, like, I don't have enough research to look at to be like, this is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like,
Well, no one did.
no. I'm like, I'm not, no. We're gonna roll. The
Not
dice
to
on this.
mention 70 the documents. I think the Pfizer documents are
Right.
being held for 75
Right.
years, court ordered, So
crazy.
we're never gonna know.
Right. Like I'm like that decision. I'm like so grateful never did it. Like
No one in your family.
no.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, good for you for standing up because I felt the pressure for sure.
Oh,
I was a hard no the whole
Well,
time.
and there were a lot of times I have to travel for work. There were a lot of things I was like the unknown. I was like, oh, maybe like there were a lot of times like, oh, maybe I'll just do it. Make it easier. And
So many people thought like that too, like for the convenience factor. Like we have a client, she was like, well, I'm going to a concert. I'm not going to be able to go see the concert if I don't get vaccinated.
You know how easy it was to get like fake vaccination cards though?
Oh, yeah. I have.
Piece of paper. I have one.
I had one.
I had some blank ones too.
I have 3 blank ones. I was like, I'm ready if anything else happens.
I'm like, Joseph, like, we're ready in case something crazy goes down. And we're like,
nobody was going to say anything. Here's my piece of paper.
Right. And you can get like pictures from other people.
There are your papers.
Vaccine 2565. Danielle Snare.
Let
like,
me just check it.
It was literally a piece of paper of people's handwriting. Like,
yeah. And you weren't allowed to laminate it or something like that. It was ridiculous.
So stupid. I think we still have them. Like, they were,
I think mine are in the drawer left to Alex. Yeah, they might be in there. Okay,
we've talked a long time.
I don't see it.
We're at 1 hour 40 minutes.
Okay, yeah.
Wow.
So we'll start. Doesn't that fly?
Man,
I told you it flies.
We could chat for days.
Okay, so I've been asking everyone that comes onto the show, what sort of advice would you give? And you have a unique perspective.
Okay.
You can actually let's do this. What advice would you give to the people who are going through like a traumatic, and you gave a lot of advice already, but the people who are going through something like that, and then 2, just in general, what kind of advice life would you give?
In general, let's start with that one. We alluded to this, but life is short, and not to be, Debbie Downer, but take today, right? And take today for yourself, make yourself better, but love the people around you. Show that love, and don't be afraid to show it, because you don't know if tomorrow's going to come. And, we're given today, and make the most of it. And, understand that, I'm sure tomorrow will come, but you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring either. And so, with that, like, live life. I hate like to live life to the fullest, but
it's cliche and it's
cliche. But however that looks like for you, whether it's for me, like you talked about this, my book, like I need to just start that,
I'm gonna now that we've had this. I was honestly expecting to hear like, oh, I made an outline, but you haven't done shit.
Nothing. Not one thing.
And like you could like think about this for a second. Think about someone in your position. They just learned their kid has cancer, something terminal, something horrible. Think about how powerful your positive story could have an impact on them. And we know the things that you send out in the universe and the mentality that you have is greatly going to impact your outcome. And I think that goes great for what you were saying. Like you guys were so positive. You guys were so positive throughout the whole Quinn thing. And I think that was huge for not only you but Quinn.
Right.
Because Quinn was shoving needles in herself. She was just like doing the chemo for herself. She was just positive.
Right. She was positive.
So I encourage you to get started. And you're so well with your words. I've never seen you write before, but I'm sure you can write pretty well.
I think I just need to figure out like the outline of what ultimately I want to talk about. And I think part of it is that of looking at life with those like positive glasses, right? Like we live in a crummy world, right? Like there's a lot of crappy things going on, but there's always a way to spin it, and sure, life isn't going to be all rainbows and butterflies. I know that. It's not if things are going to come, it's when. But knowing that, your perspective and whatever that is for me, like it's my faith, whatever it is for anybody listening, it's to find that and to hone in onto that and to live life with that purpose and knowing that there's something more than just you, like that there's a reason why you're here and a reason why, we're on this earth to do something better and good. And then kind of going through, are you talking about for other people or for people who might be going through something similar?
For people who might be going through something similar.
Yeah. I would just take it one day at a time. I tell people all the time.
For some reason, I knew you were going to say that.
One
That
day at
was
a
weird.
time.
Yeah.
It can be very overwhelming. But kind of going back to the like everyday situation, finding that the rainbow in the storm, and even if it's not there that day, it will come. And
This too shall pass.
yeah, it will. And whether or not the outcome is a positive one or a negative one, I don't believe that situations happen just for the sake of them and for you to experience that. Like, I don't think.
You're everything happens for a reason type.
Yeah, yeah. And for me, like that goes into a religious type of an outlook. But I, you losing your dad, me losing my brother, seeing Quinn go through that, and there's
It's
purpose
tough to
behind that.
understand.
It is tough to understand,
It's tough.
100%. There's situations in life we'll never understand the why, right? I ask that a lot, like why would Kyle die, or why would Quinn get this cancer? And we'll never get those answers. But figuring out in that situation, or the circumstance that you may be going through, whatever it may be, figuring out how it can impact you in a way to change something for the better, or somebody else, or you being there for somebody. That might be the reason why.
Mm-hmm.
You just being there for somebody, or you not even saying anything, just being the shoulder to cry on when somebody is going through and grieving, because they understand that and you care, and even if you don't say anything. But yeah, going back to that one day at a time, sometimes it becomes that so much in that moment, and just taking that day, because I remember when we first got that, I'm like, 2 years, like you have to be like, like that seems so daunting, but as we said, time goes by quickly, and looking at each day with a different viewpoint. But again, I look at life differently, and I think that's just my experience. And I also am not a worrier, so that does help. But yeah, I think those would be my little advice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then I meant to ask you too, and I'm totally switching gears on you,
Yeah.
but what are because we haven't talked about it ever. We've talked about it before,
Yeah.
but what are your current workout goals?
Workout? Oh gosh.
Because we have not. It's important to have goals.
Oh, 100%.
when you
Yeah.
work out.
Like there's like always something
And
to improve on.
I made a
for
little
sure.
mental note before you got here. I was like, oh, I'm going to ask her because I haven't asked you in a while
Yeah.
as a trainer. I'm like, what are you working towards? And if you lose sight of that goal, or if
Yeah, like what do you?
if you're just kind of working into an oblivion, then it kind of you lose your purpose, and then things
Yeah.
start to fall off. So it's important.
I think like getting older, I've definitely seen my body change. Like I can get that. Like hormones are changing, things like right. So, and being okay.
38.
Gosh, I'm almost 40, you old lady. But kind of mentally, right, being okay with that, but also shift in my workouts of, I guess, yes, there's always for me a goal on how I want my body to look like. But I also think that now, because I have like my workouts, my biggest goal now is nutrition. And that's been something that's really been like on my mind this year. And it's always been, right? Because I've always been terrible at that. But really like honing down on whether it's, I'd be like, counting your macros. But along those lines of something with that of, I think maybe I haven't seen a lot of body changes because of that reason. Because it's not like I'm not working out or working out hard.
Right.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
there are days, again, we talk about like, I'm like, oh, I'm just doing this today because I'm just so tired.
Yeah.
But like, it's not like I'm just like coming in and like, okay, like, let's just do this little quick workout. Like,
Yep.
that's not me. Right? So,
Well, it's
I
not
think that'd
you,
be-
and it's like not really an option because the workout's on the board. Like
that's what I have
like,
to do.
like,
Right,
you're gonna-
which has been great, and I knew I needed a change. So
Mhm.
I was doing the AM Army workouts for a long time,
Mhm.
and I was like, I need to do something different. So now I've been doing fit camp, and I haven't even seen changes in that.
Mhm.
I think my body needed that more of that
Like the
cardio,
cardio aspect. Yeah.
I think I
Yeah,
just
for
missed
the
that, but-
people that don't know, AM Army is more like a power building, bodybuilding type split,
Yeah.
and it's 6 days a week.
Bro.
And then Fit Camp is like a full body every time. But yeah, anyways.
Yeah. So I think for that would be my goal this year, is more of the nutrition push. What that, would look like. Being more like, and I'm terrible at being consistent on that. I'm consistent.
It's tough.
Yeah. So that'd be my goal.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
This was fun. I liked it.
Yeah, obviously I'm going to see you tomorrow morning too. So
see you tomorrow.
I'll see you tomorrow in the gym. But thank you so much for coming on, sharing your
course.
story, and write your damn book.
I will.
All right, now
Okay.
give me a hug.
Okay.
I've been wanting to hug you the whole damn time.
I'm like sweating.